And as big as insurance and finance did just 3%. With real estate, as big as real estate, just 6.4%. So it means the creative economy, the creative industry, IT and broadcasting, is bigger than all these, both in value chain and in ecosystem. Because as big as manufacturing did just 9.2%. So if you juxtapose it, you see that the creative industry, IT and broadcasting, has done more to the GDP than all this. As at then, the only sector that was bigger than the creative industry was agriculture, because then agriculture did over 42%. Because even services and other industries combined did just 33.3%. So technically, it is a large ecosystem, both in employment. I'll give you an example, not with, even with my film, Memataba, we were cast and crew 520. There is Aminu Sarah here. See how much he does on social media. There is Amin on YouTube. There is Meshada. See how much they do. See the numbers. So see the numbers. And so see the employment values. See the national reorientation values in all this. So it is a sector that cannot be overlooked. Now that said, to zero down on the question is that as young creatives or as creatives within this value chain, the government need to do more. This time around, not because the young people are already finding their path. So it is to create the right policies and the right environmental framework for the industry to thrive. Because what is China doing differently? Because China controls about 35% of export from creative goods. And if you do the number from OCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, they did an outlook in 2024 to appraise 2023, and the global creative economy from export from goods and creative services was doing over $2 billion. So if you take it from creative export from creative goods alone, it was about $713 billion. Then you take creative services where you have film production, you have music production, and all that. That was doing about $1.4 billion. So put together, it was huge. But China controls 35% of it.
Right. And then, Casey, coming to you, just to pick up on the $100 billion target by 2030, how can visual artists like you, for instance, what role do you think you can play in actualizing that? And what sort of support do you need for that to happen, since there's obviously a market for it, domestically and internationally?
Okay, domestically there is a market, but I wouldn't say the market is that strong yet for visual artists, because we still have people who underlook visual arts, to be honest. Because I work in a gallery and I hear some comments. People still undervalue visual arts. I feel we should make our art more appreciated. And I feel the reason why people still undervalue visual art is because some artists do not value their own art. We have artists who will make their works and you see them by the roadside, and because they are hungry, they're offering you peanuts just to buy their art. Now, if we had a funding scheme where artists are being catered for and then their work is for value sakes, then we wouldn't have artworks that are undervalued, and then we will get to that point. But unfortunately, most artists are quite hungry, and most events or most exhibitions we have are usually themed exhibitions trying to settle one thing or the other, or one trouble or the other, not really focusing on culture. Now you have themed exhibitions where people are saying, okay, the plight of women, the misery of children in Africa and all that, not really focusing on the culture, but trying to solve a problem. But I feel if, like we have NGOs and organizations who are bringing up ideas or exhibitions for artists, visual artists, generally, not just painters, should have broader themes that are encouraging for people to buy. Because you get to see themes where people paint or make artworks and then they keep in their houses. They are not sellable. So we should have themes that are broader, more sellable, promoting culture. Like I said earlier, our art is our tool. We are the storytellers of our culture. So I feel most art should actually speak about our culture.
And where do you see platforms like, say, Afrimaxx, for instance, stepping in to amplify your visibility, for instance, which sometimes could open you to new markets?
Well, Afrimax can have situations where they spotlight artists or art shows, and I feel that's a major tool, spotlighting artists, art galleries, art spaces, and showing the importance. Just by media showing it forward, it's a big tool.
Right. Mr. Gazama, coming to you, what kind of structural support do we need to look at here from government, private sector, uh, in terms of helping, heritage-based storytelling to realize its full economic potential? I mean, you just talked about the Kano City Wall, the Super Kingdom. There are so many others like that, I like to believe, that are still being catalogued, still being preserved. What needs to happen structurally to support the existing conditions that would actually have some sort of economic value going forward, so much so that it's sustainable to keep them?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, a lot of policies have to change, government-wise. Now, like the example I gave concerning the Kano City Wall, where it has been reduced to almost rubble, with strong government backing, a lot of things can change. Now they have to stop looking at it as if it is just soil or sand or history. Now that history is very, very important. If they attach the proper importance to that history, it can be even a money change, a money spinner for them. Now we have to change the narrative. We have to tell our own stories as it is. We have to go away from the old narrative and paint the Africa as it is ought to be painted. That is the only way. We have to be original. We have to be original. Now, the government must play a very, very important role. The private sector, yes, they can come into, and I will tell you, during some of our campaigns, the private sector has helped a lot. Now, they helped in funding some of our missions when it came to showcasing or helping the advocacy for for the protection of these cultural sites. They came in by way of sponsoring researches, and the institutions too, the school institutions, the universities, the research centers, all must come together. All of us must come together so that we can change the narrative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the last lap, you all will have each a minute and a half. Give us your final submission. How you think conversations like these, the one we're having this night, on the launch of a program or a project like Afrimaxx, what would it do to move the needle in the right direction? Mr. Ki, I'm going to start with you.
I feel like the world is not looking for another version of what they already have. They are looking for something original, like we have all stated here. And if we can utilize more of all the tools that we already have, platforms, and I think this is why what Afrimaxx is doing is very important. Because owning something changes the direction because we get to tell our own story. We get to control the narrative as opposed to leaving it to, other people to do, right? So if we have more people that can come forward and tell more of African stories, we have a lot of negative stories out there. It's outweighing the positive. And I feel we need a sort of a balance in all of it, right? So utilizing all these platforms, utilizing the digital tools that we already have, to promote the culture, to ensure that people see us in the way we want them to see us, as opposed to in the way that they automatically see us just by the narrative that is being flying.
Thank you very much. Prince?
Okay, well, Afrimaxx, I think, is timely because the preservation of African culture is very important, and you could see that with the wisdom of Oscars, which is in its 97th year, how come every other film in the Oscars is for Americans, and only international language film is to the rest of the world? It is the power of originality in language, and you could see how South Africa were able to utilize winning their first Oscars with Tutsi. So it means there's something there that we need to look at. But again, to push the boundary further, there will be need for proper distribution channels, which is what is lacking in the industry at the moment. With the pulling out of Netflix and Amazon out of the Nigerian market, you could see that huge gap, and that's why a lot of filmmakers have moved to the YouTube space. So that distribution aspect of content needs to be looked into. And I'll end with an example with Netflix spend between 2016 and 2022 by Netflix report. They spend in South Africa, Nigeria, between Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya, $175 million. Now, out of it, $35 million was spent in Nigeria. And $35 million by every metric is close to or over 40 billion. But the shocking part of the story is because the northern industry, both in art, in culture, and in content, are not properly positioned, we are missing in that spend. Because imagine $32 million spent in Nigeria and not a kobo in northern Nigeria. I mean, not a dime. So there will be need again for repositioning of the ecosystem, be it art, be it craft, be it film, be it music, and all the content, all the 9 to 13 contents under the creative industry. Because anytime we say the creative industry, it is narrowed to film and music. What about art? What about fabrics? What about fashion? What about the tech industry? It's a huge ecosystem, and we need to take advantage of it.
Thank you very much. Casey, I know you answered partly some of that question earlier on, but what can you add, especially considering the opportunities that Prince Daniel was talking about that is almost untapped yet?
Well, I would say Afrimaxx is visibility for visual arts. Who can tell our story better than we? We live here. We know our culture. We know our story. We don't expect somebody from somewhere else to tell our story. So now Afrimaxx is giving artists this opportunity to show themselves. You can't keep hiding your artworks in the bush or anything. Afrimaxx is here to give more visibility. So it's an encouragement to visual artists to do what they do best, to tell their stories, and they have a platform now to show the world what they have, not just within Nigeria, but outside Nigeria.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Gazama, your final take.
Well, the beauty of Afrimaxx is that it is being championed by 2 giants, one an African giant and one a European giant. DW, I grew up knowing DW. I listened to them, I watched them. And Trust TV is very, very important too in our own part of the continent here. Now, who better to project our stories and our documentaries than the combination of these 2 bodies? So yes, Afrimaxx is here at the right time. It is going to make most of the work that we do much, much easier because we have a larger platform now to showcase our own stories, our own perspectives, our own lives, our own lifestyle, our arts, music, what have you. So it's coming, yes, at a very, very good time.
Thank you very much. Please, can we please show our appreciation by giving our panel a wonderful round of applause. We're going to open up the conversation to members of the audience. I've been told in no unclear terms that I should, ignore some of the hands from the men folk and largely focus on the women folk because they have better ideas. I'm not sure that's scientifically backed, but that's my instruction. So we're going to open up the conversation to members of the audience, and I'm going to start by inviting Aziza Tulusani to share her thoughts with us about the conversation we're having, African storytelling, and her perspective, because she will also build as a panelist for tonight's conversation. So we have one of the microphones for, and let's try and keep the contributions very brief. Remarks, questions, if you have any for the panelists. She's over there, but we need you to come into the light. Thank you.
Good evening, all, and good evening to the panelists. What a wonderful discussion and ideas that you guys have poured out. And everything you said is exactly what it is. The reality of our arts, culture, and creative economy. And ideas and solutions you've proffered are also the part that we need to really take as a country. Nigeria, they say, is the most populous country in the world, black country in the world. Yes, we are. And we have that creative repertoire, creative well, where we should dig into and tap from to prove ourselves and to project ourselves as Nigerians. We must not rely on the validation of the Western countries to be who we are. When they were introducing some of our artists here and the number of followers we had, that's enough validation for us as a people. And so it means that we need to tap that to make it and point to the economic benefits for ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aziza. I appreciate you for the concise take. I'd like to also call on Melanie, who I believe has a short take. Pass the microphone to Melanie, please.
Yes. So as a producer from DW and responsible for the program, I think from my point, it's also to bring out the stories of Africa, the cultural and innovative and wonderful artists and fashion and culinary into the world. That's our aim. It's not only to tell the stories here about people from here, with people from here, by people from here, but we also want to bring these stories into the world. So the African art and the African innovation and sense of the future is actually shown everywhere, globally. And that's our point.
Thank you so much, Melanie. All right, so we're open to contributions, remarks, questions. There's a lady over there. I mean, to the men, you can raise your hands. I'm allowed to ignore you, but please raise your hands.
Good evening. My name is Binta Iliasu. I'm also a content creator with 250 followers, just 200. So I want to speak in Hausa, please, because we are promoting Hausa and we are promoting Ariwa culture here. I want to encourage my Hausa people to please come out. Saboda yadda suke kallon mu din mu canja fatan kallon mu muhimmanci suka kallon culture din mu da muhimmanci so content creators din mu na Hausawa dan Allah a dinga nuna arewa mu nuna culture din mu yi preserving culture din mu da heritage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not getting paid to translate, but in a nutshell, what she's basically saying is calling on the Hausa community to take advantage of this opportunity to showcase the cultural heritage, which would go a long way, and they should really just come out and take on the proverbial bull by the horn. Any more contributions?
Yes, from here.
I'm excited to be here because we need talks like this. It's an awakening. I believe we all already know, and we just sometimes need to hear it over and over again. Farida Olopade is my name. I'm a traditional fashion enthusiast. I'm wearing African. I don't think people believe that we could someday do things like this with fashion. But here we are today. This was woven in Okene, Kogi State. It was sewn here, it was designed here. Not because I saw it anywhere, but because I believe that African fusion can transcend all borders. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be big or be in Iran Buba. You can wear it in any form that you want. And that is exactly what I believe sharing with us today, to believe in what we have and how rich it is, and show everybody that they can rock it with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful submission. Intern, can we balance things up now? Let's look
with the man, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we've had 3 women. Can we have 1 man? Okay, somebody's here. Thank you.
My name is Seven Ahmed from Sokoto State. And actually, there is 2 points I want to make. One of the Mr. Asman, when he mentioned, and also the other, he mentioned about some of the artists at home. So basically, the point I want to make here is the value of what we have. Like Mr. Asman said, we don't value it. I'm from Sokoto State. I can remember back in the days, we used to go to like museum, history, museum, and most of the time you will see culture. You will get the tour, they explain things to you, how it comes to be. But those things don't exist now. Majority of us that have been trained by our parents to take us to give us that history, we are not replicating that to our children now. That's why even speaking Hausa itself, some of us that are living in Abuja, we don't even speak Hausa to our children because we are thinking that we are more modernized when we are speaking English, even inside our own homes. So being like Mr. Asman said, we need to come in to revive that culture and also promote what we have. We have a lot of, we call it Gidentari Sokoto. Basically, it doesn't exist. The way it was before, now it doesn't exist the way it was. So let me just.
Thank you very much. And it's Abba Kasama. One or 2 more, then we wrap it up.
I think what we'll do, if we say have 1 more.
Yeah.
Any other?
No additions?
Okay, there's 1 more person here. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Sunana Lawal Ahmad, jarumi a masana'antar fina-finan Kannywood, kuma producer, CEO Bakori Entertainment. Da abubuwan da muke yi, na tabbata mutane suna gani, kuma ni Bahaushe ne daga Arewa wanda muke kare al'adun Arewa. Ina da YouTube mai suna Bakori TV, ina da subscriber miliyan 1.400. A kusa da ni akwai Aminu Saira, yana da YouTube sama da miliyan 1.600. Duk abubuwan da muke sakawa a ciki abubuwa ne na al'adun Hausa wanda na tabbata ko da wasu a nan ba sa kallo, wasu suna kallo. So saboda haka na ji daɗi da na kasance a wannan fili domin ganin cewa an samu hanyoyi waɗanda za a ƙara haɓaka al'adun Hausa a arewacin Najeriya. Kuma insha Allah a tsaye muke kuma tsayin daka domin mu ga mun kai al'adun arewacin Najeriya da arewa inda ya kamata. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Another wonderful submission of how the industry itself is thriving with a big market that is still being explored. If you don't have any,
I think we have 1 more. I don't want to endure the wrath of women's folk. Yes, so 1 more woman, and then we call it a day. Thank you.
I'm Omar. I'm accountant, embassy accountant. At the same time, I'm artist. I used to paint on plate and box. So my question is, how can we encourage our young ones to be watching the TV while now everybody is close to the phone and mobile phone? They are not too much with TV. So how can we encourage them more, knowing more of the Africa? Actually, my father is from KB State, while my mother is Egyptian. So I am combining both culture, African culture from both sides, and I would like even my kids and other kids to even know more about African culture. I'm very proud of it and really like. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So, a two-parter, we're going to have Melanie, I'm not sure who's going to respond to that, the platforming, legacy media, but she's talking about platforming and meeting younger audience members on their phone screens. What's the plan here for Afrimaxx exactly?
Actually, we have everything we produce in long form. We also do it in vertical, and we also are gonna employ some or establish some maybe like creators to explain this. But we see that, of course, to catch the young audience, you need to be there where the young audience is, and that is social media, and that's what we are also, of course, aiming for. And the Afrimaxx content is already out there on social media. You need to look for it.
Right.
But Trust TV also has a very great social media strategy to combine everything. So that's would be a question to the colleagues from Trust TV.
Right. Let's just say it's best explained when people follow. So follow and find out more. There's no direct question to any of the members of the panel, so we're going to have to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and receive one last round of applause. Let's show some appreciation to our panel members.
Yeah, I understand you should take a good photograph. So can we have the official photographer for a good photograph with the panelists?
Is it just me, or was that a lukewarm round of applause?
I think we can make the applause louder. Thank you. Okay, so photographer, let's do this as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the panelists as they step down. Thank you very much for doing justice to the topic and to the anchor. Thank you very much.